Dear students, welcome to EPG Pathashala. In the subject Indian culture, the social and cultural history of India, today we are going to discuss the marriage systems in ancient India. So, actually the significance, practice, types and forms of marriage are going to be discussed briefly in this module. Now, actually marriage has got a different sense. It is called a vivaha or parinaya, etc. in Indian culture. Since both wife and husband are living together, as it is there in other cultures also, the term which is pregnant with meaning, loaded with meaning, is offered a rough translation called marriage. So in Indian tradition there are 4 ashramas, as we have already discussed in some other modules, that brahmacharyam, garhasthyam, vanaprastham and sannyasa. So Bhrigu, the author of Manusmriti, asserts that the second ashrama or garhasthyam is considered the best, as the grahastha or household person takes care of the people of the other 3 ashramas, and just like all the rivers find a place in the ocean, people of all ashramas find a place in a grahastha or household person. Vivaha is the most important of all samskaras. There are 40 samskaras, 16 of them are very important. Among them, the vivaha or marriage is considered to be the best or the most important samskara. Samskara means any action or rite or activity that will refine the mind and or body and makes a man eligible, finally qualified for attaining jnanam, and through jnanam one will get moksha. So vivaha, parinaya, parinayana, upayama and panigrahana are synonyms. All these words mean the same marriage. The vivaha in Indian tradition is full of rituals, and therefore marriage is a rough translation. The origin of vivaha can be traced to Vedas, Taittiriya Samhita, Atreya Brahmanam, Tandya Mahabrahmanam, etc. And now let us see what is the purpose of marriage. Then, according to Rigveda, the purpose of marriage is to enable a man, by becoming a grahastha or household person, to perform sacrifices and to produce sons. It asserts that the wife herself is the home. Shanti Parva of Mahabharata also says the same. Na graham grahamityahuhu grihini grahamuchyate. Graham has got 2 connotations, 2 meanings. One is house, the other is grihini, that is the household lady. A lady who is married and living with her husband is called grihini. So, and Jaya is another name for wife. Atreya Brahmanam, Aitreya Brahmanam clearly states that wife is called Jaya because the husband is born in the wife as the son. This concept is stated by Bhrigu also. He becomes complete after marriage. Then this is about Grihini. Then Taittiriya Samhita as well as Shatapatha Brahmanam clearly state that wife is half of the body of the husband. That means Ardhangi, in another module we have discussed, she is called Ardhangi. That means half of the body of the husband. So as per the tradition, after marriage there are not 2 persons but one only. This concept is also mentioned by Apastamba. Jayapatyoho na vibhagaha vidyate. There is no separation or difference between a wife and husband. So the Shatapatha above also says, when a man secures a wife and gets children, he becomes complete. Then the Apastamba in the above reference also states that after Panigrahanam, both the wife and husband perform the rites together and the wife partakes of the punyam, that is but not papam, that is to say. Thus the wife is called Sahadharmacharini, that is the name given to her. And in the again here Sahadharmacharini cannot be the wife. Wife is who is married to one and who is living together. In that sense it is used, but here Sahadharmacharini has got a lot of meaning. Jaimini rules that after Vivaha, the rite performed by wife and husband together would be a single karma. There cannot be wife, husband having separate karma and wife having separate karma. But whatever karma is performed together is considered, counted as a single karma. So the pledge is made by the bridegroom during the marriage as per Apastamba. This is na aticharami, na aticharami, I do not ignore you. This pledge is taken. The Purohita or priest, he says, this girl should not be ignored by you in terms of dharma, artha and kama. Then the groom would make the pledge. So, dharme cha arthe cha kame cha nati charitavya. This is what is said by Purohita. Tvaya nati charitavya. Then the above mentioned tenets put the wife on a par with the husband on the above mentioned three fronts. That is dharma, artha and kama. That means without discussing or without telling the wife, one should not take up anything, any activity that is related to dharma, artha and kama. This is called naticharami, the pledge. This is the meaning of the pledge. This is dampatyoho sahadikarat. Both the wife and husband have got equal rights. This is clearly stated in Purvamimamsa by Jaimini. The result being the wife is called Patni, and Panini clearly says Patyurno yajna sanyoge. There are 5 kinds of Mahayajnas, Pancha Mahayajnas, every household has to perform, and when the wife is there while the 5 yajnas are being performed, due to that connection through 5 Pancha Mahayajnas, the wife is called Patni. So Pati and Patni. This is clearly stated by Panini. Patyurno yajna sanyoge says if the wife is partaking in the 5 Mahayajnas, then she is Patni. Elsewhere, the wife is called Patni due to similarity. Patanjali explains in Mahabhashya. That means those people who do not perform for various reasons the Pancha Mahayajnas, what about their wives? I mean, would a wife of such a person be called a Patni? Yes, because due to similarity, that means like this Patni, this wife, she is also behaving, she is also called Patni. Then, Daya Bhaga or partition of wealth. Daya means the property that is acquired from fathers or forefathers by a person, and partition of wealth. The separation of such a wealth of a joint family is called Daya Bhaga, and we can roughly translate it as partition of wealth. It is due to this guideline that wife does not get any share separately from husband during partition of wealth in a joint family. In a joint family, when wealth is separated, father will get 1 share, sons also will get 1 share each, but the wife is not given any share separately from the husband, because wife is considered to be half of the body of the husband. This is the karana. Then, in protection of a girl child, Bhrigu and other rishis ordained that a girl should be protected throughout her life and should not be left or sent alone. One should not send a girl alone. One should not leave a girl without any protection. During childhood, a girl should be protected, should be under the protection of her father. During youth, she should be protected by her husband, and when the husband dies, the sons have to take care of her, and as such, she should not be left alone. This is what is clearly stated, that is, Pita rakshati kaumare, bharta rakshati yavvane, Patrascha vardhake vayasi, nastri swatandriyamarhati. Here nastri swatandriyamarhati is the last leg of the verse is misinterpreted as no, ladies do not have independence, but here depending on the context only we have to decide the meaning. The word swatantriyam here is nothing but protection, without protection, leaving one without protection. So in such cases the context has to be taken for consideration. Then the Punarvivaha, the second marriage. A woman can go for a remarriage if the husband is missing or dead or has taken samnyasa or influenced by vices. There ladies can go, a lady can go for a second marriage. It is clearly stated in Dharma Shastra. So second wife, monogamy and purpose of marriage. Let us see these aspects. Apastamba forbids taking a second wife if the first is endowed with pregnancy and the performance of dharmika karmas. One should not go for a second marriage. It is not allowed in Dharma Shastra. In Apastamba Dharma Shastra, it is clearly stated. Here, Haradatta Mishra, author of Mitakshara commentary, explains it indicates that the main purpose of purposes of marriage are two. Namely, the wife enables a man to perform dharmika karmas, and the mother of son or sons who are supposed to save a man from hell. Here, putra, the term is actually some derivative meaning of the term putra is offered. Punnama narakat trayate iti putraha. The one who is going to protect the father and mother from a naraka, a hell called pum naraka. So sex is laukika. Sons or the dharma karmas both are the purposes of this thing. What about sex? Sex is just, it is laukika, worldly enjoyment that is not seriously considered. And for both sex as well as this dharma karya, only one lady called patni or ardhangi has to be taken into consideration, and there cannot be a second one. So Bhrigu states that on the wife depend the production of sons, the performance of dharmika karmas or rites, service, highest pleasure, heaven for oneself and one's ancestors. So these three, namely dharma sampatti, that is dharma, performance of dharmika karmas, praja, that is children, and rati or sex are the principal purposes of marriage according to smritis and nibandhas. So these three are the purposes. Then polygamy, having many wives or husbands is called polygamy. So in Ramayana and Mahabharata, generally we come across this tradition, a single person marrying more than one person. Mostly kings and emperors used to follow polygamy, but this is not acceptable to Dharma Shastras. Actually, what is Vivaha? What is the concept of Vivaha? What does it mean for a person from Indian tradition? Medhatithi, a commentator on Manusmriti, says that Vivaha is a composite rite comprising several subordinate elements which have to be done in a certain order, and the last of which is seeing the constellation of the seven sages or Saptarshi Mandalam, and the rite brings about the status of a woman as a person's wife. Earlier she cannot be called Bharya or Patni or Grihini or Sahadharmacharni, etc. But after marriage her designation changes. So selection of bridegroom. How to select the bridegroom? A number of guidelines are offered across Dharma Shastras, many smritis. There different smritis discussed the question of how to choose a bridegroom and what qualifications make a person a desirable bridegroom. So Ashwalayana in his Grihyasotram says one should give a kanya or a virgin in marriage to a man endowed with intelligence. The bridegroom should be intelligent according to Ashwalayana. Apastamba, another Maharshi or sage, remarks the accomplishments of bridegroom are that he must be endowed with good family, that means by birth he should get endowed, that word term is used like that, and he should be endowed with a good family, a good character, auspicious characteristics, learning and good health. Such a bridegroom only should be preferred in marriage to one's daughter. Baudhayana, another sage, states a virgin should be given in vivaha to one who is endowed with good qualities and who is a celibate, brahmachari. Celibate means brahmachari, who didn't have any sexual connection, is called a celibate. Even in Abhijnana Shakuntalam of Kalidasa, through Anasuya, Kalidasa echoed the words of Baudhayana. The best idea is to give one's daughter to a man endowed with good qualities. So these are called gunas and the vices are called doshas. Smriti Chandrika is a great work done during 19th century. He quotes Yamasmriti, one should seek for 7 qualities in a bridegroom, namely good family, good character, bodily appearance, fame, learning, wealth, and support of friends and relatives, and the other matters need not be considered. That is what is said in Smriti, said by Yama, a great scholar and author of Smriti. Brihadarashara, another great work, enumerates 8 qualities in a bridegroom, namely caste, learning, youth, strength, health, support of many friends, etc., ambitions, and possession of wealth. Ashvalayana and others place Kola in the forefront. Kola means Varna or caste in the forefront in the case of both the bride and the bridegroom. One should first examine the family as it has been said above. This is stated by Ashvalayana Grihya-sutram. Bhrigu, the author of Manusmriti, regards a good family as the most important from the eugenic point of view. That means prosperity. Eugenic means prosperity in the future. One who desires to raise his family to excellence and eminence should always enter into marriage alliance with the best and avoid alliance with the low, and adds that 10 kinds of families, even though richly endowed with cattle, wealth, etc., should be avoided in marriage. Bhrigu explains under what circumstances good families are reduced to a bad state. Harita, a great scholar, author of a Smriti, says that the offspring or children in accordance with the families of the parents. Then, marriage between similar parties. Mahabharata observes friendship and marriage should have take place between those alone whose wealth is similar and whose learning in the families is of equal status, not between rich and poor. Then selection of bride. Rules such as necessity of good family, absence of diseases, etc., are common for the groom and bride. These are stated by all the Smritikaras, authors of Smritis. Ashvalayana says one should marry a girl who is endowed with intelligence, beauty, a good character, and auspicious characteristics, and who is healthy. Shankhyayana, Manu, and Yajnavalkya also stated that the girl should possess the auspicious characteristics or virtues, generally we call. So, girl should be younger. This is a very serious issue, because some people argue that the girl can be older than the groom. Bride can be older than the groom. This is not acceptable. This we will quote from Ayurveda also, and tell just to prove why is it so. The girl should always be younger to the boy. That means bride should be younger and bridegroom should be elder. So Gautama, Vasishtha, Manava Grihya-sutram, Yajnavalkya, and several others say that the girl must be younger. That is Yaviyasi. They use the word Yaviyasi. Yaviyasi means younger in age than the bridegroom. The Kama Sutra recommends that she must be younger than the bridegroom by at least 3 years. The Mitakshara explains Yaviyasi, the term, as meaning younger in age and smaller in stature. Stature means height, than the bridegroom. Some scholars said the age gap between bride and groom can be 3 or 5 or 8 years, not more than that. Then Ayurveda. Let me quote from Ayurveda. How can you prove? How can you say state that the girl should be younger than the bridegroom? Why not older? Then if you take Ayurveda, age matters a lot. Time would certainly, fix the virtues or vices of a thing, whether it is a person or any substance for that matter. Let us see. A raw pepper causes a phlegm, whereas a dry pepper kills the phlegm. So, the following verse is quoted to show the result of age gap between the bride and groom. Bala prana prada prokta yuvati pranadharini praudha karoti vruddhatvam vruddha maranamadishet. It is a very beautiful and very, very important verse from Ayurveda. A girl of below 16 years of age, Bala, would increase the longevity of the bridegroom. If a lady in youth would help in maintaining the longevity of the bridegroom. An older girl would cause early aging, and an old lady would kill the person at the earliest. So this is clearly stated, and we have taken the example of pepper also. Not only pepper, even other things. For example, if you take banana, the raw banana has got different qualities, whereas for example, a raw banana would check the any problems of dehydration like motions, whereas a ripe banana would cause motions, something like that. Therefore, depending on the time, depending on the age, also things would have different qualities. Keeping this in mind, always a bride should be younger to the bridegroom. Girl should have brothers. What is said in Dharma Shastras? Abhravatrughnim, it is clearly stated. Who did not kill the brothers. Its suggested meaning is that a girl who has got brothers should be preferred. Manava Grihisotram, Manu and Yajnavalkya require that the girl to be chosen must not be brotherless. In Rigveda, it is said, as a brotherless maiden comes back towards the male relations, her father's family or brother's family, etc. like that. In the Atharva Veda, we read, like brotherless women, let them sit still with their splendor gone. Nirukta quotes, Nirukta is one of the Vedangas, it quotes and explains both these passages from Rigveda and Atharva Veda. In this Putrika has got generally it is used to mean daughter, but here Putrika is used in a specific term, it is technical. In ancient times, when a man had no son, he would make his daughter do for a son. That means she herself became Putrika, and stipulates with the person marrying her that the son born of her would be his. That means the girl's father's son, and would offer pendas as a son to his maternal grandfather. Penda means balls of rice that are offered to the forefathers who had died. Those are called pendas. During the course of time, scholars resolved that if the brotherless girl's brothers have got a male child, then it is okay. Also, such a father can adopt a male child. The said last two things are just to get out of the impasse. Girl from same caste. This kind of marriage is called endogamy. Endogamy means marrying a girl belonging to the same caste. There is a restriction in Smritis or Dharma Shastras that a girl from the same caste or Varna should be chosen. This is called endogamy. So, sameness of Gotra and Pravara forbidden. This is a serious issue. Marriage between a bride and groom of the same Gotra and same Pravara is forbidden by many Smritis. Sagotra Vivaha is not acceptable. Similarly, Sapravara Vivaha, having the same Pravara. We are going to explain what is Gotram, what is Pravara. Then Sapinda Vivaha forbidden. Gautama, Vasishtha, Yajnavalkya and many others prohibit the marriage between a bride and a bridegroom who are Sapindas. Who are Sapindas? How to decide whether a bride and groom are Sapindas or not? Then it is clearly explained. 7 generations on father's side and 5 generations on mother's side are not Sapindas. That means we should not marry, one should not marry if the girl is Sapinda. Then, so Purvamimamsa. This Purvamimamsa is one of the systems of Indian philosophy that deals with the earlier parts of Veda called Mantra Brahmana Bhaga. All these prohibitions, including younger girl, against marrying a girl of Sagotra, Sapravara or Sapinda are extremely important. According to Purvamimamsa, if there is Drishta Prayojanam or a perceptible result for a rule in the sacred texts, it is only recommendatory, and a breach of such a rule does not nullify the principal act. So, Drishta Prayojanam va, Adrishta Prayojanam va, that is what is said. Drishta Prayojanam is a result that is perceptible, that can be seen, that can be felt. Whereas Adrishta Prayojanam cannot be seen, but may be felt and may result in at the end. So, but if there is an Adrishta Prayojanam or a non-perceptible result for a rule, then and there is breach of such a rule, the principal act itself is rendered invalid. What is this? If one marries a girl who is diseased, then there will be unhappiness, that is Drishta Prayojanam, etc. But the marriage is perfectly valid, there is no problem. On the other hand, there is no Drishta Prayojanam for the prohibition against marrying a Sagotra or Sapravara girl. That means Adrishta Prayojanam is there, that cannot be seen, that cannot be perceived by people like us. But since Pratyaksha Dharmanaha Rishayaha Babhuhu, Patanjali explains in Mahabhashyam, they could see, the rishis, the sages could visualize, they could see, they could perceive what is dharma, what is adharma. Therefore, Sagotra Vivaha, Sapravara Vivaha, Sapanda Vivaha are prohibited. Therefore, such rules go to the root of the matter and are obligatory, and if there is a breach of them in the sense Sagotra Vivaha, etc., the marriage is no marriage, it is null and void. Then, girl choosing husband. Manu declares that a maiden may rather stay in her father's house even till her death, though she may have attained puberty, but the father should never give her to one who is devoid of good qualities. A maiden after attaining puberty may wait for 3 years, but after this period she should seek a husband who is similar to her. She has got, freedom to choose her husband if the father does not, try and get her married within a period of 3 years from puberty. Anushasana Parva, Baudhayana of Mahabharata, Baudhayana and Vasishtha support the latter part of the ruling by Manu. Baudhayana and Vasishtha add that the father or guardian incurs the sin of destroying an embryo, that is Bhronahatya, at each appearance of menses as long as the girl is unmarried. Yajnavalkya and Narada state the same rule. Then Jyotisham decides matches. In our country, this is a very important aspect. Without going into the details of the horoscopes of both the bride and groom, most of the marriages do not take place. And Jyotisham or astrology plays an important role in Vivaha, right from deciding a pair of bride and groom down to the auspicious time, that is Muhurta, for performing the Vivaha. 21 Mahadoshas, great defects, are enumerated in Jyotisham, which should be avoided while fixing the Muhurta. By and large, all months are acceptable for performing marriage. Months in the sense Chaitra, Vaishakha, Jyeshtha, Ashadha, etc. And then Trijyashtham and Gunas. What is this Trijyashtham? Trijyashtham means 3 Jyeshthas coming together. That is, the eldest son called Jyeshthaputraha and the eldest daughter called Jyeshtaputri should not get married in Jyeshthamasa. So, since there are three Jyeshthas culminating into one, this marriage is not acceptable to Muhurta Skandha of Jyotisham. Then Gunas. The conjugal relation, Gunas means generally called points. The conjugal relation between wife and husband will be good if there will be 18 gunas or above, when the stars of bride and groom are put side by side. So, a chart is available in Panchanga or Almanac which is useful as a ready reckoner to refer. There is a chart that is useful as a ready reckoner. This Kujidosha. What is this? Mangalik. In some places we find this word, he is Mangalik. Mangalik means he has got Kujidosha. What is this? This is a very important aspect of, in terms of compatibility between the horoscopes of the bride and groom. Agastya Samhita says, Dhane vyaye cha patale jamitre cha ashtame kujaha srinam bhartru vinashaya pumsam bharya vinashakam. If Kuja, Mars, is there in 2nd, 4th, 7th, 8th or 12th houses, when counted from Lagna, ascendant, or Chandra, that is moon, or Shukra, Venus, it is called Kujidosha. He will become a Mangalik. If this defect is there in the bride's horoscope, then the groom would die and vice versa. Then, Kujidosha nullified. If there is Kujidosha in the horoscopes of both bride and groom, then the same is nullified. There will not be the effect of Kujidosha if it is there in the horoscopes of both bride and groom. Kujidosha from any of the three houses will be the same. In one horoscope, there will be Kujidosha from Lagna, whereas in the other horoscope, there will be Kujidosha from moon or Shukra. Even then it is nullified. And Devakaralam, a work, adds that Kujidosha will not be there for those who are born in the own houses of Kuja, namely Mesha, that is Aries, and Vrishchika, Scorpio, in the Ucharashi, that is the zenith of Kuja, that is Makara Rashi or Capricorn, and the houses of Kuja, Kuja's friends, namely Chandra, that is Karkataka Rashi, Cancer, Ravi, that is Simha Rashi, Leo, and Guru, that is Dhanush, Sagittarius, and Mena, Pisces. So, Svocha Mitraha Jatanam Pedako Nabhavet Kujaha. This is what is stated in Devakaralam. This is the translation. There are many factors mentioned in Jyotisha Shastram that are useful in deciding the compatibility of a bride and groom. Then, marriage with one's maternal uncle's daughter. This is prevalent in South India. There is difference of opinion among the authors of different Smritis and Nibandhas regarding the acceptability of one's marrying with his maternal uncle's, that is mother's brother's daughter. This custom has been prevalent in South India. Those who supported this custom stated that one need not verify any details of bride and groom if they fall under this category. Then, the Apastamba, Manu, Kumarila, etc. opposed the above said marriage. They also opposed marriage with paternal aunt's daughter. On the other hand, Madhavacharya, Devanna Bhatta support such a marriage because they belong to South India and they somehow took some examples from Vedas, etc. and substantiated their claim that such a marriage with one's maternal uncle's daughter can be performed. They, while quoting Manu, Shatatapa, etc. say that there are passages of Veda, Shatapatha Brahmanam and some Smritis, Brahaspati, Vyavahara, Mayukha, etc. in support of it, and Shastras observe this practice, and so such marriages are sadachara, that is a good culture or good tradition and not forbidden. Then the 8 forms of marriage. The marriage has got 8 kinds of different forms. Just let us see what are they. There are 8 kinds: Ashwalayana Griha Sutram and Gautama Dharma Sutram, Manusmriti, etc. Most of the Smritis enumerate these 8 kinds of Vivaha: Brahma, Prajapatya, Arsha, Daiva, Gandharva, Asura, Rakshasa, and Paishacha. Let us see what each one means. Brahma Vivaha: the father of the girl invites a man who is learned in Vedas and of good conduct, and offers his daughter who is adorned with garments and jewels. Daiva Vivaha: the father gives away his daughter who is adorned to an officiating priest during the performance of the sacrifice or yaga. Arsha Vivaha: the father takes a cow and a bull and gifts his daughter. Prajapatya: the father, having addressed the couple, may both of you perform your dharmic duties together, honors the bridegroom with Madhuparka, etc. And this is called Prajapatya. Then Brahma, Daiva, Arsha and Prajapatya. In the above 4 forms of marriage, there is the gift of a girl called Kanyadanam by the father to the bridegroom. Here the term Danam is used in the secondary sense, that is in the sense of the father's right of guardianship and control of the maiden to the husband. All gifts are to be made with water. 8 forms of. Then continuing with this, other 4 kinds of forms of marriage. Asura. Asura means a Rakshasa. The girl is given away at the father's will after the bridegroom gives as much wealth as he can offer to pay to the relatives of the girl and to the girl herself. Then Gandharva Vivaha. This is just like Gandharva Vivaha is nothing but love marriage. The union of a girl and the bridegroom by their mutual consent is known as Gandharva, which springs from the passion of love and has intercourse as its purpose. Then Rakshasa, the forcible abduction of a girl from her house while she weeps and cries aloud after her relatives are killed or beaten or wounded and their houses are broken open, and it is Rakshasa Vivaha. Paishacha, a man has intercourse with a girl while she is asleep or intoxicated or disordered in mind or unconscious. It is Paishacha Vivaha, and this is the most sinful of the all. Then Saptapadi, the wife and husband walk together for 7 feet while relevant mantras are recited, Vishnu Stvanvetu, like that, and by the 7th step the girl loses her father's gotram and attains her husband's gotram. Henceforth she is called Sahadharmacharini, one who performs all the rites together with her husband and partakes of the punyam he acquired. Summary. So, in this module, we have touched various aspects of marriage, why Indian, the marriage in the Indian culture or Indian tradition is unique and totally different from that is available in other cultures, and what is the relation between wife and husband, equality of wife and husband after marriage, singleness of wife and husband after marriage, no divorce cannot be, either wife or husband cannot be divorced, and then the very right of the wife to partake of the punyam that is performed by husband, and later how a girl or a woman has to be protected throughout her life, right from young age down to old age, and then the 8 kinds of marriages and other relevant issues are discussed here. So, for more information, please visit EPG Pathashala e-Text in University Grants Commission's website. Thank you very much for listening.